Not every book needs to be a movie. We watched people walk for 2 hours.
It was the most straightforward movie pitch I've ever heard. There were no hidden twists.
There's a reason why walking is not a nationally televised sport, because it would be dreadfully boring to watch.
No, we're not doing that. You're getting called a slur.
A Long Walk was a movie I was looking forward to the moment it was announced. I just so happened to be checking out the book by Stephen King around the same time the first trailer dropped, so I started reading it to get myself prepared and hyped for the adaptation. I originally had plans to compare these two versions, but unfortunately, life got in the way. And I couldn't finish the book in time. Oh well, maybe someday. Anyway, September rolled around and the movie dropped to the astonishing sound of crickets. Yeah, unfortunately this movie didn't do so hot. At least it wasn't around the time I started writing this script. It brought in a little over 11.7 million its opening weekend, and it kind of stagnated around 35 million for a while. This actually had me punching air for a little bit, because I can confidently say that this is one of the best movies of the year, and easily a contender for one of the best Stephen King adaptations. But then something must have happened, because now it's sitting around a little over 45 million. I was very confident that it was going to get pulled from theaters early, but it seems like positive word of mouth from people who have seen the movie is starting to spread and encouraging more people to check it out. And I gotta say, this movie deserves it, because it's truly great. It has some pretty good characters, intense moments, and a surprising amount of gore. It's impressive how much story and character there is in such a simple concept. I'm definitely glad this wasn't pulled from theaters early, so that more people have a chance to experience it on the big screen. Now this movie had a budget of $20 million. It currently sits at $45 million. It's getting really close to making back that magical 2.5 times its budget number that most people use as a metric to see how successful a film is, which means it's gotta make $50 million, which it might be able to do before it gets pulled from theaters. Then again, I don't know how long it's going to be in theaters, because I'm surprised it's even been in theaters this long. So right now it's working towards being a pretty successful film. But as it sits currently, I guess it's technically underperforming, but hell, it's performing a lot better than I thought it was going to, considering the slow start that it had. Anyway, this video isn't going to be a review. It's going to be me going over the reasons why I think this movie was initially underperforming. But if you want a review, I got one for you. This movie is great and worth your time. I'll probably do an actual review soon, but I want to get this topic out of the way first, because it just sucks to see a movie this good get barely any attention. But it looks like the tides are slowly changing on that. I really hope that I'm proven wrong in the next week or two. But I got 4 reasons as to why I think this movie didn't do that well initially. And who knows, maybe some of these reasons might age like milk, but I want to get into it regardless, because some of these reasons do apply to other films that have flopped in recent years. But anyway, let's get into it. So right off the bat, let's get the obvious out of the way. This movie's marketing was next to non-existent. If you're familiar with the studio behind this movie, Lionsgate, then you know this is nothing new for them. Last year, they underpromoted several of their movies, including Boy Kills World, which I really liked, leading to several of these films just flopping. Seriously, unless you're tied to a popular IP or connected to John Wick, they aren't going to promote your movie for shit. Not only did I see many trailers or clips for it online to build hype, but there wasn't much actually going on in the theaters themselves either. Like for me personally, the few weeks leading up to its release in September, as well as right after its release date, I went to the theater 6 times during that period. I think I saw a trailer like once for it, which wouldn't be that bad if they made up for it online, but I didn't see jack shit there either. The only reason I knew about it is because I was already looking forward to it, but the average motherfucker didn't stand a chance on knowing about this film's existence. It's actually pretty shocking that I didn't see any interview clips or red carpet premieres or behind the scene footage or exclusive clips or anything like that. The most I saw were these 2 trailers here and these character posters that they post on Instagram. I think the most unique thing I saw was that cool early screen they did where they had the treadmills and you walk while you watch the movie. That's really about it. So yeah, marketing wise, it was a complete wash, which seems to be the story for a lot of films that flop, unfortunately. Either very poor marketing, or they don't know how to market it, or they just don't market it at all. But now let's move on to something that is more unique to this film.
I'm cut from a different cloth. I'm a different breed to most. They don't make men like me anymore.
So this next one is actually something that I experienced firsthand, and that's the fact that it's kind of hard to pitch. The movie and the concept are a bit of a hard sell to get someone interested. I mean, it really is just a movie about people walking and their interactions and the bonds they build and issues they face while taking part in a very simple competition. And that's about it. Even if you try to elaborate by saying something like, it takes place in a dystopian world where the government hosts an event called the Long Walk, where contestants walk until there's only one left standing, and at the end, they get money and any wish they want. I've literally told people stuff similar to this, and the reaction is basically, that sounds boring, or so what's it about exactly? For some people this isn't an interesting concept, which is a shame because the movie proves what you can do with such a simple idea. Even for people who like dystopian stories like The Hunger Games, they might find this one a bit dull by comparison, because The Hunger Games seems more exciting. That one has a deathmatch as its competition where the contestants try to kill each other. Sounds more exciting than just literally walking. But also, there isn't much of a hook to get most people interested. Look at Weapons, for example. It's an original horror movie that did very well, and it had an interesting hook. What happened to the kids? What exactly is this movie about, because this trailer is so vague and weird? There's a mystery there, there's intrigue. Of course, we all know that it's all about the execution, and for The Long Walk, I think they did a lot with such a simple premise. It's a shame that some people just probably won't experience it because the initial pitch doesn't seem that intriguing. Now this next one seems to affect a lot of original movies, and that's not being tied to a pre-existing franchise or a popular IP. Unless you consider Stephen King a franchise, but even then, you don't exactly know what kind of story you're in for. Supernatural, paranormal, horror, drama, or just plain weird. And plus, history has shown that just putting Stephen King's name on an adaptation doesn't guarantee success. But I bring this up because to the average moviegoer who's only going to see like 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 movies in a year, they tend to gravitate towards more something that's familiar, and that has been proven time and time again. Sure, the MCU has been slipping in quality recently, and even though the recent movies aren't massive hits, they're still actually doing better than many other films. Or look at those live-action Disney remakes. Lilo and Stitch literally broke $1 billion. Or hell, the Minecraft movies. That did some crazy numbers. Or the live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon. Hell, even Jurassic World Rebirth. All these movies are some of the highest grossing films of the year, and they're all tied to a pre-existing franchise or IP. So even though many people say that they want new and different movies, the overall majority of moviegoers gravitate towards what's familiar. And something like The Long Walk isn't familiar. People don't have a point of reference of what to expect, so they don't want to spend 10 or 15 bucks on something they're not sure they're even going to like. And like I mentioned earlier, sure, Stephen King's name is attached to it, but that's so vague of what kind of story you're even going to get. Earlier this year, The Monkey was released, and that's also a King adaptation, and that's very different from The Long Walk. So, like most original films, I think not being connected to a familiar or recognizable franchise made a lot of people wary of even giving it a shot. Sometimes it takes a lot for a new original IP to get attention and become a hit. Usually some star power or notable names are involved, like how Sinners had Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler attached. The Long Walk didn't really have that outside of Mark Hamill, and I guess director Francis Lawrence as well, but I guess if you don't really promote your movie and it's kind of a hard pitch anyway, then I guess it doesn't really matter.
There's still time for you to walk to your nearest movie theater and see The Long Walk.
Now, this last thing I'm going to mention is a pretty controversial one, and it's the fact that Stephen King's name has been making headlines recently, and didn't have anything to do with a new book or movie adaptation. Instead, this was about a tweet that he made about Charlie Kirk. King said, well, I'll just show you because knowing YouTube, if I say it, it'll probably flag it or something like that. Needless to say, there was a lot of backlash because of this, and King ended up not only deleting the tweet, but apologizing afterwards. He even doubled down on his apology after Ted Cruz called him twisted and evil for what he said. King basically apologized for not fact-checking. This all happened just a few days before The Long Walk was set to premiere, putting a pretty negative spotlight on the creator. But even earlier than this, King put out this tweet about the Epstein files. Yeah, so needless to say, King was kind of getting negative attention from a lot of people. In this day and age, when people don't like you, especially if you're a creator of some sort, the first thing people do is choose not to support anything that has your name attached to it. And for King, it was this latest movie based on his book. Let this be another great example as to why Twitter or X really sucks. And following celebrities on there really opens your eyes to the dumb shit that they say. Well, I guess it shouldn't be surprising because, believe it or not, celebrities are people too, and people say and do dumb shit. Now, does what King say on Twitter have a direct correlation with his movies and book sales? Can't 100% say yes, but at the same time, I also can't say no. That's all people in the comment sections of the trailers and on Instagram saying that they won't be supporting this movie simply because they don't like what King said. Is there an exact number how many people didn't buy a ticket because of this? No. But considering it made headlines, I do imagine that it did sway some people away from seeing the film simply because King's name was attached to it. Alright, so that's about all I got. This movie was definitely special and I highly recommend you check it out. And despite the rocky first couple weeks, it seems that the positive word of mouth is causing more people to watch this movie. And I predict once this goes on the streaming services, it's going to gain a lot of traction and a lot of new fans. And honestly, the movie deserves it. It's really great. Alright, I don't got shit else to say, so see ya.
Yo guys, it's me, Charlie. Hey, did that guy just turn into sand?
Yeah, what was that?
What is he doing?
He's gooning on the other side with that fucking baby oil.